si Miss Loli Acosta. Sulong na Bayan sa DWIZ 882.
Right, nagbabalik po muli ang ating programang Sulong na Bayan. And ayan, nakahabol po siya at tayo ay pinagpala. I'll siguro speak in English. We are blessed that she was able to make it, even if it's for the last segment. But yes, we're honored to have her. Siya po ay, she just, newly appointed press attaché of the Embassy of United States of America. She joined the Foreign Service in 2008 after a career in refugee affairs that took her to West and Central Africa, the Middle East, and Central America. A native of Washington, D.C., she received a Bachelor's of Art in History from the University of Pennsylvania and a Masteral in International Relations from the Graduate Institute of International Studies in Geneva, Switzerland. And she speaks Spanish, French, Russian, and Kiswahili. Okay, I will ask her what that is. During her tenure with the department, she served as public affairs officer in Nawatcha, Mauritania, and Erbil, Iraq. She was an assistant cultural affairs in Kyiv, Ukraine, and in Kenya. She also served as the embassy's representative to the coast in a hybrid political and public diplomacy role. Wow. In an assignment with the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration, she deployed to Adana, Turkey, as senior humanitarian advisor working with Syrian refugees. And during a tour with the Operations Center, she served as a watch officer at the department's 24/7 crisis management hub. And she has earned, take note, she has earned Superior Honor and Meritorious Honor Awards and was also recognized with an award by the Secretary of State for her work with Syrian refugees. And she has 2 children, a daughter and a son, 5 and 9, I was told. And she joined the embassy in July 2019 as a press attaché. So we welcome in our program Sulong na Bayan, no less than Miss Heather Carlin Fabrikant. Greet us first, Miss Heather.
Maraming salamat. Thank you so
wow.
much.
She knows how to speak it. Salamat. All right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. First off, we just want to know, is this your first time in our country?
So actually, I was privileged to come here when I was much younger.
All right.
Once.
All right.
In fact, it's one of those crazy stories where actually my aunt 30 years ago served at the embassy here as well as a diplomat.
All right.
And so when I was a young child, I came and visited her.
Okay.
But I have very few memories of that, so I feel very fortunate to be able to come back and serve our country as well in a similar position and have the opportunity to explore and get to know the country and people.
So what was like your impression, the first impression? How are you liking our country?
I love it. So far, no complaints.
Really?
I love the weather.
And the traffic.
The traffic's a different story.
Right.
I
But
love the weather.
Yeah.
I love the food. I love the people and the culture. Yes, it's incredibly warm, hospitable people. Very interesting time here in this country.
What food do you like?
What food do I like? Okay,
we
so there are many foods I like here. Kare kare.
Oh,
sisig,
wow. Sisig. Wow.
Halo
that's
halo,
cool.
of course. Lumpia, lechon. The salted duck egg. Pinakbet.
But do you know how to cook? To begin
what
with.
do I know how to cook?
Not so much. Because you're always out.
I need
in the
to
field.
learn though. I
But
think
do you
so.
have like a passion for it?
I do love to cook. Yes.
If you're given a real ample time. So, okay, you've been assigned to other countries, like, what is this? I mentioned earlier, in Kyiv, Ukraine. How do you pronounce that? Kyiv, Ukraine, and Iraq. So how different is our country from those countries?
It's very different.
Like how?
Well, first off, the weather is quite different than one would experience in Ukraine. Ukraine has quite a long winter. It's very cold, and it can be very dark in the winter months as well. Not a lot of sunlight. The day is quite compressed. So the weather is a huge difference. Culturally, it's very different. The language is quite different. Yes.
Are they welcome? You know, they're welcoming. They're joyous. They're fun to be with.
Yes.
Also, and the clothings or the the costume. Do they wear something else?
Yes, they have some traditional Ukrainian clothes in Ukraine. It's kind of embroidered tops, a bit like the barong, but different colors. And then in where I was in Iraq, the Kurdish people have some very colorful traditional clothing as well.
So it's like our country. Do they have similarities somehow?
I think so.
In terms of tradition, rituals, culture?
I think so. A passion for music and art and food.
Oh, okay. Movies, making films and all.
Yes.
Are you also fan of watching or seeing movies?
Definitely.
Have you seen Joker? No, don't see it.
I have not, but just the posters looked quite scary.
The teaser
have you seen it?
Oh yeah, it's a sad. Well, I won't spoil it. If it's still in the movies, you could try and check it out. But no, yeah. Very quickly, in terms of your work, what do you hope to achieve during your time here? Because this is your first time, and yes, we want. You earlier mentioned we have very strong ties with your country. So what do you have to achieve? What's in your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping to continue and build on the hard work that has been done by my predecessors and just to continue to deepen the partnership and the relationship.
Who's your predecessor?
So my predecessor here in this role was Molly Kushina.
Where is she assigned now?
So she's assigned in Seoul now.
Korea.
And she's working on cultural affairs there. And so it's just to continue the foundation, the strong relationship between our countries, our bilateral ties.
Why is it really important, the bilateral relationship?
The bilateral relationship is really important. I think one of the main things is our people-to-people ties that are so strong. As you might know, there are more than 350,000 U.S. citizens living and traveling in the Philippines at any given time, and about 4 million U.S. citizens of Philippine ancestry in the United States. And on top of that, an estimated 650,000 U.S. citizens visit the Philippines every year. And I'm not sure if you knew this either, but October, this month, is Filipino-American History Month.
Wow.
Which is celebrated in the United States during the month of October. And this began in October 1992.
Wow.
And it's like the only community that celebrates that has a whole month dedicated to it. So I think that just shows how important the relationship
should be like a day only, but this is a whole month thing, and we've been celebrating it since 1992.
Yes,
so it's like 17 years ago. What are the usual activities if you're celebrating that? And we don't know that. Nobody's like really into it.
So I think in places where there are high concentrations of Filipino diaspora, like in California or Hawaii, where many Filipino Americans reside,
the West Coast,
there are a lot of independent celebrations that are organized by these communities to highlight culture.
If you notice in some parts, well, you mentioned California, we have a lot of different diverse culture for the Filipinos. We have the Ilocano town, we have the Visaya town, and then actually a lot, Kim. It's not just, you'll say, the Philippine town. It's like different regions in our country. And we love to say, yeah, this is Visayan town, and then Pampanga town, and then we will, explore, or not expose, or we just want to show off the food, the clothing, the costume, because we want you to taste what kind of foods we have and what kind we will offer. So are you into it?
Absolutely. Definitely. I want to try all of the food.
The food, right.
Yeah.
What part of the country have you visited yet?
So far I haven't had the opportunity to go to very many places, but I'm looking forward to going. I'd like to go to Cebu, to Baguio, to Mindanao, Boracay, Palawan.
Boracay, not yet. Okay. Palawan. Oh, you're blessed because our chairman Well, he'll tell you about it. He can invite you in Palawan. We have good beach, and I don't know if Philip was able to come. Kim, no, he didn't find the time that time. All right, but yes, other areas that you want to visit.
There are so many different areas.
What were you like? Thought about, or you try and when you get to the Philippines, you go try and check this out.
Now, I think we've heard a lot about the rich marine biodiversity, the coral, the marine life, and that's something I think that's so precious that I really
do you love
like
scuba diving?
Absolutely.
Oh,
diving,
wow.
snorkeling, exploring the underground life.
Right. We have Siargao and a lot other places
Exactly.
here.
Yes, I would like to go there
Check
too.
it out. Yeah, Kim. And yes, what are other interesting hobbies do you really do enjoy on a typical day off, not working? When you're not working. I'm sure your work is like, ugh.
No, I like to spend time with my family and my kids and do things
What do they
with
do?
friends.
Like biking, perhaps?
Biking. They love to swim.
Oh, swimming. Well, we have
Sports.
good beaches. Don't worry about it. You won't run out of the list. Okay. The embassy initiatives. Last time when I spoke, or when we had our Philip Roskamp, he was like telling us about the education invitation of your country to your country, to our country, to your country. Now, is that like ongoing still?
Absolutely. We have very robust education programs through our Education USA advising centers. We also have a robust English language program here where we train English teachers in the Philippines. We also have some English language fellows. So we do a lot. In fact, each year we send around 350 Filipinos to the United States on exchange programs. And we've got a community of more than 8,000 Filipino alumni of our exchange programs. And this has been going on for more than 70 years.
Right.
These types of education exchanges.
But do you guys plan to at least lower the cost? Because education is really expensive. It will cost you a fortune. But, the Filipinos as a country, the Philippines, we want to really study in your country. But, there are reservations because of the high cost of education. Is that like into your somehow plans that you will lower the cost?
Absolutely. And part of the work that we do through our Education USA advisors is raising awareness about and educating people about the opportunities for scholarships and other types of financial assistance, because there are many, but a lot of times it's just navigating the system and trying to find out how you can locate the information. So we do a lot of education, we call them mini fairs, with counselors, with guidance counselors. And
I attended one.
Did you?
Yeah. That's where I met Mr. Philip Roskamp down here at EDSA Shangri-La. You guys had an event, and then it was like cascaded in different parts of Cebu, I think so you intend to intensify that?
Absolutely. We'll continue to do that. Our goal is to get as many people as possible the opportunities that exist out there and raise their awareness.
Right. Talk about awareness. I don't know if you're aware of this. Even the countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they're very, very much into intensifying invitation to different nationalities, not just the Philippines, to go and check it out and learn or go that kind of full education in their country. And they offer a whole lot of different prices. That's why I brought it up to you. If you guys can like match it, perhaps, or check it out what they offer, because the ones that I saw in their post in their website, the one who will really attend school will also have a chance to migrate or have permanent status or how do you call that, an immigrant status. Is it like the same that you guys offer? No. Okay. Yeah, because Canada, they're into a whole lot of different strategies just so they can entice some different nationalities to go and check out the education system there. Well, I just brought it up because to compare your offer and their offer. New Zealand, and I think the other one is Canada and Australia. Yeah. Other initiatives that you have right now in the embassy?
Well, we're preparing now for the 75th anniversary of the Leyte landing. So we'll be commemorating that alongside our
November?
Regional partners. It's
when is that going to be?
It's the 20th of October.
Okay,
So it's coming
very
up soon. And it's an opportunity to show our partnership with the Filipino people, as well as the long-standing alliance that we've had.
Yes.
In that vein, right now we also have the Common Dog Joint Military Exercise.
Right. That's you there. Look at her.
Oh yes,
Because I wanted to ask what you are really doing there. The SSS Reagan. Is that like an? I didn't. It's kind of mute. Can you describe what you were doing there?
Sure, absolutely. We I was there accompanying several media outlets that we invited to have an opportunity to witness some of the flight operations that you can see right there. And they also had an opportunity while on this fleet aircraft to speak with some Filipino American sailors.
Oh, okay.
Which comprise 10% of our Navy, actually. So they play a really critical role. Absolutely. It's a big chunk. There they are. Yes,
sailors. Sailors.
Yes.
And yeah, that was like how many seater? How many seater is that aircraft? Is it like it's a light aircraft, perhaps? But do you also fly? Are you into it? Do you know how to fly?
Oh, I don't know how to fly. I would love to learn.
All right.
That's not
yet.
I leave that to the professionals.
Okay. We have on the line a question coming in. Okay, it's not yet there. Perhaps he wants to join in our discussion. But yes, we will just check him out again. Try it again, please. All right. Other sport activities that you want to go into? Do you like
sports? I love sports. I love basketball.
Basketball.
I love
How tall are you?
5'8".
Oh my gosh.
So not very tall.
Ang taas. And your children, I'm sure, are also really not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, because developing. But are you into perhaps golf? Do you play golf?
I've played golf before. My brothers are actually, I grew up with 3 brothers, and so we played lots of sports together. They're much more talented and committed to playing golf. I play golf, tennis, soccer, softball, baseball, bowling.
Bowling. Have you introduced that to her? Not yet. Oh, okay. You know how to play.
We did, but actually our Filipino colleagues, they were fantastic.
Oh, okay. What is it like when you have 3 brothers? Because you're the only girl.
Yeah.
Is it like somehow the interests that you do, you're kind of like to veer away from the girly type.
Right.
So you're like into whatever they do.
Of course. You play all the sports, you play with the trucks, you get their clothes as hand-me-downs.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you grow up just like one of them. I think it makes you very tough.
Tough. That's the advantage when you have brothers. You're not... Because I'm fascinated because you were assigned in countries like Iraq and Ukraine and all. These are not just typical countries easy to deal with. So the tough in you, the toughness perhaps that you inculcated by your brothers. Don't mess up with me or something like that. You have to be really tough. I admire how your a short brief of your biodata and resume here. You were assigned in different countries like that. What was like your dream? To really serve or to really be assigned in different countries? Do you have a dream country that you want to be assigned?
I think this is a dream post to be serving here at this time. For me, it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to represent the U.S. government here and at such an interesting time and with such warm and hospitable colleagues and partners. So I feel very lucky to be here.
Right. You mentioned interesting time, quote unquote. What is it interesting? Why? Why do you describe it now that our country somehow there are slight issues, but now that you're assigned here, so what do you hope to perhaps contribute?
Well, I think geopolitically it's a very interesting time around the world, and I think it's an important time for us to reinforce our partnership on key areas. You know, I'm sure you and your followers also follow our Facebook and our Twitter feeds, and you may see that very frequently one of the hashtags we use is friends, partners, allies, and I think that really encapsulates our mission and our goals here. And so we just hope to deepen our friendship, our partnership, and our alliance with the Philippines in the coming years.
Growing up, what was it like with your classmates? You talk about friendships. How deep do you really go, you know, to extend friendships into, you know?
That's a great question. And I think I'm in a room with women. I think we value female friendship. It's difficult as a diplomat working abroad and being deployed and being so far away. But the beauty of the modern era with social media many Filipinos use a lot is
Facebook, the FaceTime.
Is that there's FaceTime, there's WhatsApp. There are a lot of very easy ways to remain in communication, even when you have a 12-hour time difference.
Right.
You can
wherever you are.
Carve out ways. My mother, in terms of grandma, being able to see her grandchildren. FaceTime and other video apps really facilitate that, so we can feel much closer than we used to.
At least you won't really miss them physically, yes, but somehow you can talk to them any time of the day. So yeah, talk about friendships. Do you have friends, like really best friends? Here we term it as BFF. That's a lingo. That's the Filipino way of saying your best friends. Do you have somebody like that?
I do.
And how do you communicate with her? In addition to the technology, do you guys get together somehow?
We try to get together. I try to get together at least once a year when I'm back in the U.S. My priorities. So I kind of have a best friend for every decade of my life. I don't know about
everywhere you're assigned. You mean
each decade? I think yes. Decade. I have someone. So I've got, I would say, 3 best friends.
What's the influence that has gotten into you? What's that kind of behavior or perhaps trait or character that is?
I think I've been very lucky to be surrounded by very strong, independent, intelligent women who provide inspiration to each other, to challenge each other to become better mothers, better colleagues, better spouses. So I'm very much inspired by my closest friends and the friendships that I've been lucky enough to have.
And then the boy friends. Meaning friends, friends that are male gender.
Also, I think because I grew up
with... Not the boyfriends that
well, when you grow up with brothers, I think you're used to having very close friends, and my brothers are also my friends. So,
do you when you have problems, perhaps personal problems? Who do you confide into?
I would say I sort of activate my network of friends.
Depends on the problem, huh? Yeah, because they were saying this world or the whole world is in turmoil. Somehow there are differences, somehow there are dislikes, and there are issues. How do you solve a problem like Maria? That's the question. Okay, I just want to say, if there are problems for characters that you have to deal with, how do you address that?
So kind of like personality conflicts or challenging. I think it's important to meet someone halfway and to kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, because as we mentioned, life can be very stressful. There's traffic, there are all kinds of unpredictable things that can impact people, so it's hard to know what other people are going through. So kind of giving people the benefit of the doubt. Instead
of adding burden, you just ease and give them relaxation. Is that what you do? Because you seem to be very, your aura to me seems to be the light of the salt and light. You know what that means?
No, tell me.
It's like you're a salt That means you will, taste, spice up the whatever. And then the light, because you can enlighten. You're saying you just want to unleash their burden instead of adding, difficulties more, and you will unburden. So that's salt and light. You learn something new every day.
it's
Okay,
true.
you can note that down. That's coming from me. No, I was just kidding. Okay, tell us, Heather. What's like now that I was told, is it true? Confirm it if it's not true. The ambassador is on his way out. It's a 2-year, you only serve for 2 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Uh-oh. So is there a kind of replacement very soon?
Unfortunately,
Not
we
yet.
don't have any more information
Okay,
on
no
that.
problem.
Once we know, we will let you all know.
Yeah,
But
because he's been very amiable guy. He attends all our events, and it's easy to. It's not like the other predecessors. It's hard to call and give him. He gives time. That's the part that I like the most with your ambassador. Now this is leaving, we're gonna miss him, but that's how it is. That's all the time he has in our country. Is it like for you too? Only 2-3 years? What's the term limits?
I'll be here for 3 years.
Oh, okay, the same.
At least,
Almost 3.
luckily.
Even your predecessor only had 3?
3 years
Okay.
as well.
So that's all right. So that's the usual term of work
For officers.
for
yes.
officers. So it's like 3 years, and then you are in love. Is it like has it happened to you that you're I don't want to go yet? Can I extend? Is that like
It's
Can that
hard.
happen?
I think it's always bittersweet because you,
right?
you develop very
Somehow
close friendships.
ties.
You learn a lot. You've come to appreciate and love the culture and the
Culture.
people. So the idea of getting up and moving can be hard. But on the other hand, moving can be exciting. Learning a new culture,
Yeah,
meeting
this
new
is
people. It's an
challenge.
opportunity and a challenge as well.
So how do you find us, the Filipino media, in so short a period of time? I have to ask this. How do you
Philippine
find?
media? I've been incredibly impressed. So we've been lucky enough to have.
You've met practically
I've met a
several.
fair amount. We did a round table that we called Walang Secreto. That was a part of our anti-fraud
Right.
effort to ensure that Filipinos are getting accurate and timely information to
That's
make
what we need,
to make
actually.
good decisions when it comes to the
Sure.
consular process, so no one is
Right.
taken advantage
Please.
of. So we did that round table. I met a whole bunch of journalists there, and then we also were fortunate enough to support 2 separate trainings. One for public affairs officers of
Really?
the government of the Philippines, and another
When was this?
for maritime reporting. Maritime reporting, you
Done?
may have seen some of the media that came out of it when Justice Carpio spoke
Oh, all right.
at the session, but that was for World Maritime Day, which
Maritime.
was September 26th.
Oh, okay.
And so we did a
Finished.
focus on how to report on maritime issues. And we brought together 15 Manila-based reporters and then
Reporters.
15 from outside of Manila, so Palawan,
Oh, wow.
from all of the
Different
far reach, Cebu,
regions.
the far reaches, and kind of talked about
What was the highlight?
what was the highlight? Oh, there were so many takeaways. I think Justice Carpio, people really appreciated that, but also delving into issues of natural resources, environmental degradation, resource constraints. Like how do you cover an
Constraints.
issue when there's 7,000 islands
yeah.
and
And
it's so
long
challenging?
coast.
A long coast.
Right.
Just logistically, how do you get out
Kinda
and see the
impossible.
issues that you'd like to cover when resources are
So scarce, limited.
Yeah, so that to me was very interesting, and it was fun
Eye
to
opener,
meet.
perhaps.
Eye opener, and I have just been continuously impressed by the level of journalistic commitment, competence, passion, commitment to telling the truth and getting information out. So I've been very and young and more mature. There's a very diverse group, I think, in the journalistic community
Right.
here as well.
The young, the old, in the middle.
Well, and also you have the traditional, so you have the print, but
That's
then you
right.
have some online outlets, and then you've
The
got the
digital,
social media,
digital
tabloids,
media.
all different.
The quad, they call it, I think, Kim, quad media now. Perhaps there's print, radio, TV, and digital, and the social media. So talk about social media. We only have 1 minute, but let me ask you, how is it like for the digital media? What is how does it affect your information campaign?
Well, I think We are engaging a lot with emerging leaders and youth who are very heavily involved on social media, particularly Facebook, and we have a lot of engagement on our Facebook page, which I recommend all of your listeners follow. We just hit our 500,000
really
now followers.
Cool.
Yes, and we did a video.
500,000. Why? Yes. Because it's Heather that's the press attaché now. She's new and everybody's
Not
like
at
curious.
All. I had nothing to do with the success. It all happened before me. Kim can take
But this is like first. Remember? This is the first that you hit 500,000. And then, perhaps a lot of them got interested. Who is this girl? Let me check her out. So that's part of it. Okay. That's all the time we have. Next time you will be here earlier perhaps or give us a lot of other time if it somehow if it will merit your schedule. But we're so glad to really have you in this episode, and we're honored that you were able to make it, and we thank Kim for arranging all this. And this will not be the last, all right? May I have your what we call parting shots in 60 seconder. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, listeners. It was great to meet you all. I'm excited to be here, and I'm just honored and looking forward to getting to know the people, exploring the country, eating the food. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat. What else? What kind of other words have you taught her in Tagalog, in Filipino? Salamat. Oh, okay. We're given another 10 minutes because, we're so blessed that another 10 minutes is extended because they want to know more about who you are and what your thoughts are. Perhaps, yes, I will ask this, but if you don't mind, this is not a tricky question. It's just like we want to know what your thoughts are so that, because people listening and tuning in right now. So, yes, I have to ask this, Kim. The Philippines was a colony of Spain for 333 years. And your country for 55 years. Of course, your country a little lesser than Spain. That's why we look like Spanish, they say. Because we talk a lot of Spanish words, right? Because we were colonized for 333 years. And now, reportedly, China is what? Reclaiming, alleged only, our land. And somehow there are reports of invading our casinos and businesses and a whole lot others. What do you think about this? Just your thoughts.
So I think we're continuing to watch and monitor the situation. Our partnership here is with the Philippines and with the Filipino people, and we will continue to undertake the joint military exercises that we talked about, of which there are more than 300 annually. We have provided support and assistance to the Philippines for many years at the request of successive Filipino administrations, and our bilateral security ties are very, very deep, and have benefited the Filipino people. And we will continue to make efforts to buttress maritime security efforts, and we will continue to collaborate on counterterrorism efforts.
What project, what kind of project do you have in mind for, because I know you've been assigned in Ukraine, the refugees. We have a lot of, the refugees here. Do you have somehow a concept that you're working on?
Well, so we do provide USAID. Actually, our assistance agency provides a lot of assistance.
USAID, so helpful
to Marawi, to those affected by the Marawi, and in fact has committed more than $63 million for humanitarian and recovery work in and around Marawi. And so we'll continue to work alongside our Filipino partners to improve conditions in shelters, host communities, and provide essential health care for affected populations. But on that last point on counterterrorism, I just wanted to highlight that there's an event tomorrow, a groundbreaking of a regional counterterrorism center
Cavite.
in Cavite.
What's going to happen? What are we expecting?
So there will be a sort of a symbolic groundbreaking of this joint regional counterterrorism center, which is really symbolic of a deepening commitment.
What time will that be held?
It's at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Our ambassador will be there, as well as high-level representatives
I'm sure
from
a lot
the
of
PNP.
will be well attended by journalists, print, radio, and TV. Okay, we won't oblige too much, but really, we're so happy that you were able to come. And again, may I reiterate, this is not the last. And you know what? Let me just give you a school of thought. The journalists, if they want to ask and call you, my suggestion or my advice, take time. Try and get as much as time to really talk to them, because that's what we need. We are here to chase news. And if you're not not really, the information is not available, then you can just be honestly saying to us, I'm okay, I can accept the interview, but these are the only information I have right now. So that alone is so much. We really appreciate if you would talk to us. A phone call will suffice. And if you're not available, then you can just say, that's it. So I hope that's unsolicited advice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Love.
And I pray that you will really have a grand time for in the next 3 years. Go and have a blast. Welcome. Thank you, Kim. That's all the time we have with them. Thank you, Engineer Fred Bulamala, Engineer Daniel. The Philippine Standard Time is 4:07 in the afternoon. And yes, we have to thank our new center, the people there, Atelin Leharteja and si Kim sa ating SOCMED sa social media, si Kim at ganun si Jezreel at ang ating communication assistant. Di nakatawag si Fred Gabot, but that's okay. Si Hyacinth at si Hiyas. And I'm not memorizing everything, but yes, our new center director, Edwin Eusebio, no less than our Vice President, Ellie Aligora, and our Chairman, D. Edgard Cabang. Thank you so much. And as I always say, keep God first, and I emphasize that, first in everything you do, so that He will direct our path. The paths are really perilous this time. We are threading in dangers, the so-called danger zone. But if we will put Him first, then He will crown our efforts with success. God bless everyone. This is Loli Rivera Acosta.
Si Miss Loli Acosta, Sulong na Bayan sa DWIZ 882.